Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. I'm Laetitia Sidqawi and you're watching Canal Algérie's Nightly News. Here's what we have tonight. The President of the Republic congratulates the Algerian teachers on the occasion of their World Day, stressing their key role in preparing generations. How to transform Shelter Afrique into a development bank is the main objective of the extraordinary meeting hosted by Algiers. The Energy Minister takes part in the proceedings of the 5th annual meeting of the high-level energy dialogue between Algeria and the EU Union, focusing on promoting partnership to fight climate change. Algérie 54 site unveils the real reasons motivating Trial International, a Swiss NGO that attacked the Algerian army to serve certain agendas. Welcome again. First off, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, congratulated on the occasion of the World Teachers' Day all teachers and professors in a message on his personal account, which reads, "I extend my sincere congratulations and deep appreciation to the ladies and gentlemen, teachers and professors on the occasion of the Teachers' World Day, corresponding with October 5th, in recognition of their role in building generations and developing their competencies to ensure the future of the Algeria of tomorrow." End quote. The Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman chaired a cabinet meeting which examined several preliminary draft bills in 3 sectors. In the field of finance, the government examined a preliminary draft bill on the Finance Law 2024 ahead of its submission in the upcoming Council of Ministers. In transport, the Minister of the sector submitted a draft executive decree that includes the establishment of the High Government for Ports and defines its functions, organization, and functioning. In the framework of the implementation of the instructions of the President of the Republic regarding the setting up of effective mechanisms for the creation of a port authority. Finally, in Interior, the government listened to a presentation on the national plan for the organization of rescue in the event of a disaster, with a proactive view aimed at managing the risk of disaster before it occurs. As we've seen yesterday, Algeria is hosting the proceedings of the extraordinary general meeting of the Pan-African Company in Africa, Shelter Afrique. On this occasion, the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman recalled Algeria's fruitful results achieved thanks to the reforms initiated by President Tebboune, as well as our country's investment policy with African countries. More insights on this keynote speech with Melissa Kebash.
According to Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman, the holding of the General Assembly Shelter Afrique in Algeria constitute an important layover in the reinforcement process and the convergence of views between African continents. He also recalled the results achieved thanks to the reforms initiated by the President of the Republic in terms of eradicating precarious housing. Thanks to the policy of President Abdelmajid Tebboune, the deficit in terms of housing and the eradication of precarious housing has been considerably reduced. Within this framework and the support granted to the sector, 1,074,932 housing units were distributed from 2022 to 2023, allowing 4 million citizens to benefit from decent houses. The concretization of all these projects improved the living conditions of citizens. 40,188 families were rehoused, in addition to important financial packages exceeding 140 million dedicated for these programs. Uprooting precarious housing is among the state's priorities within the housing field until its complete eradication. Prime Minister bin Abdurrahman indicated our country's advantages as well as our investment policy towards African countries. The reforms decided by the President of the Republic were very fruitful, namely a self-sufficiency in terms of construction materials. We hope to export these products towards other African countries. We've reached a production of 38 million tons of cement per year, 6 million tons of concrete, 40 million tons of bricks and red products, more than 180 square meters of ceramic, and 4.6 million square meters of marble and granite. These competences and national skills allow our country to be ready to export its experiences towards brotherly African countries and accompany them in the achievement of their different development programs with the adequate price and quality. On the sidelines of Shelter Afrique, the Prime Minister, accompanied by that of Finance, Housing, Public Works and that of Trade, visited the exhibition organized on this occasion, an exhibition that gathers several enterprises specialized in the field, be they state or private.
The African Development Bank will constitute a major achievement for the continent as a whole and will help attain the objectives of member states, namely consolidating sustainable development and overcoming the challenges to promote the housing sector. Amali Sididir covered the event in this report taken up by Melissa Kebash.
It is now official. Shelter Afrique became a bank for developing sustainable housing and urban development in Africa.
L'idée donc de passer au statut de banque.
To change the status into a bank, it is a matter of the institution's capacity to mobilize the necessary means to accompany states and help them solve the question of affordable housing in our African states.
Jusqu'à présent, je le disais, beaucoup de gens, beaucoup de jeunes,
As I said, a lot of people ignored the meaning of Shelter Afrique. Now that is a bank of housing development, people will finally recognize the importance of this institution in accompanying our social housing policies.
Reconnaître davantage l'importance de cette banque, de cette institution dans l'accompagnement de nos politiques de logement sociaux.
This initiative is not only an added value to the housing sector, but to the trade field as well, as it will further develop this sector among African countries.
Étant une institution panafricaine,
As a Pan-African institution, we have an integration role, namely ensure developed exchanges between our countries, especially that some countries benefit from competitive advantages in some sectors. We are not only a developing bank, but a Pan-African institution that ensures the establishment of an African integration.
multilatérale, qui est là pour s'assurer que l'intégration africaine soit une réalité.
This institution is considered as a boon in reinforcing and encouraging investments in the African continent and further develop exchanges between different countries.
During the proceedings of the 5th annual meeting of the high-level energy dialogue between Algeria and the European Union, the Energy Minister Arqab has called for more investment projects with the European enterprises in the framework of developing the national gas production. Afaf Belouchat, Najah Tayyar.
On the sidelines of the 5th annual meeting between the Energy Minister and the European Commissioner for Energy, promising indicators are seen for the future of the energy sector for both sides. And about the country's updates in the European natural gas market, this year Algeria exports have increased by 16.5%. after being ranked number 1 natural gas exporter to the European Union in the second semester of this year, 2023, with a share of 44.3%.
Partner for our gas security of supply last year. It is the second largest pipeline gas exporter to the EU and a very important LNG supplier. Do we have a common interest to maintain and further increase the volumes of Algerian gas potentially available for export to Europe? Algeria is a strategic partner for the EU.
استثمارات كبيرة الآن جارية في الجزائر لتطوير الصناعة الغازية.
Huge investment projects are taking place in Algeria now to develop the gas industry. We would like to have more participation from foreign companies in this field, especially with the new hydrocarbons law in Algeria that provides more support to the foreign enterprises.
The European Union and Algeria are committed to reducing metal industry emissions, thereby contributing to the fight against climate change.
بشكل تطوعي الجزائر
As a volunteer, Algeria has achieved several projects concerning this matter in order to reduce gas emissions, including metal, CO2 gas. A fine number of projects and time plans for their completion was decided today during this crucial meeting with the European Commissioner for Energy, Mrs. Simpson.
وضعنا خطة زمنية.
We have confirmed our political support for a close collaboration between the Algerian national energy company Sonatrach and European public and private sector stakeholders, such as is the German International Cooperation Agency and Eni, the Italian energy company, to carry out a project to improve monitoring, detection and reduction of methane emissions.
الجزائر بلد منتج.
Algeria is a gas producer and provides massive and significant quantities of safe and continuous natural gas to Europe. We aspire to keep this investment with the European partner to back promoting safe gas production, thus the environment preservation.
Algeria has a potential in wind and solar power generation, a dense network of pipelines and good interconnections to Europe. It is well placed to become a relevant hydrogen power. In parallel, we will study the feasibility of a first large-scale demonstration project for the production of renewable hydrogen and its possible export to Europe.
Reducing gas emissions, developing the renewable energies and reinforcing Algeria's position as energy exporter is a project that denotes the common vision of a solid future in the energy sector for both partners.
The Ministry of Health unveiled a series of preventive measures to avoid the spread of any epidemiological development or any other damage caused by harmful insects such as bedbugs, which can pose a threat to public health at the level of entry points, in accordance with the international health regulations and the functions of border health control centers. These measures consist of the health surveillance of aircraft and ships and land transport means, their disinfection in the event of a threat observed by border health control personnel, as well as the promotion of epidemiological surveillance, maintenance, and regular surveillance of the cleanliness of the airports, ports, and land sites, control of the disinfection of suspicious baggage and cargo which may contain harmful insects, in addition to providing passengers with health information. The ministry stressed the need to strictly implement these proactive measures. In other news, Algeria condemned in the strongest terms the terrorist attack perpetrated against the detachment of the Nigerian army forces in Tabatul, which claimed dozens of lives and injuries. In these painful circumstances, Algeria extended sincere condolences to the families of the victims while wishing the injured a swift recovery. On this occasion, it reiterated its full solidarity with the Republic of Niger and the people of Niger and expressed commitment to the preservation of peace and stability in this brotherly and neighboring country. Algeria called on the entire international community to strengthen regional and international cooperation and coordination to combat this scourge which hinders the achievement of peace and development in the Sahel region, the African continent. Trial International, the Swiss NGO which pretends to fight for human rights while supporting victims seeking justice, attacked the Algerian army in order to serve certain agendas, according to the Algerian website Algérie 54, which scrutinized the real reasons motivating this institution. Najah Tayyar once more.
What is behind the Swiss non-governmental organization Trial International, which is threatening the Algerian army? The article published on the website Algérie 54 exposes the seamy side of these non-governmental organizations, which serve as a Trojan horse operating within well-established agendas. The author of the article, who counts on numerous sources and investigations by specialists, points out that these NGOs, which appear to defend human rights, in reality serve the interests of their sponsors and those who fund them. This is the case of the NGO Trial International, funded by 18 private and institutional donors, including 4 foreign ministries of Western countries. The article also reveals that the NGO's activists are supported by billionaire George Soros' controversial Open Society Foundation, specialized in the deceptive export of democracy. The article declares that the actions and money of this foundation are means of destabilization countries, undermining the national sovereignty of governments and social values, and working closely with certain Western countries to achieve these objectives by taking action against the Swiss justice system. The writer wonders how a justice system that claims to be independent and honest can become involved in cases that blow the sovereignty of governments by means of dubious NGOs. By targeting the military institution, this NGO is prejudicing the People's National Army and negating its efforts in combating terrorism at a time when it alone confronted the scourge in the 1990s, when the world regarded terrorism as a civil war. But history will remember that when it was isolated from the rest of the world, Algeria succeeded, thanks to its army and the unity of its people, in defending terrorism. Algeria, which has always been consistent in its values and principles, remains sovereign in its decisions and choices, refusing all forms of terrorism and interference in its domestic affairs.
End of the bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.